Speciation, Unit 6, Video 2. Hi there. A species is a distinct population of organisms that have the same basic structure and can interbreed to produce fertile offspring. There's a lot of key things in there. 1, population of individuals. 2, have the same structure. And 3, they can interbreed. And 4, they have fertile offspring. Zebras make zebras, penguins make penguins, but zebras and penguins do not make zinguins. Okay? That's the basic gist of it. Speciation is the process by which we form new species. This is the result of natural selection, and it happens over a very long period of time. It ensures that only organisms that are the most fit and best adapted for their environment survive and will reproduce. So what does it mean to be fit? It doesn't mean that they're the strongest. It doesn't mean that they are the biggest or the fastest. It just means that they are the best fit for the environment. They're just the best to be able to pass on their genes, and they're able to best fit in with their environment. The sneaky cricket is the cricket who doesn't make any sound. See, the female cricket hears the big, loud, noisy cricket. And as she's listening to this big, loud, noisy cricket, he's also being heard by the birds. Well, the bird is going to go find the big, loud, noisy cricket, but there's a sneaky cricket who's very silent, and he's going to sneak up on the female cricket, and he's going to mate with her before the big, loud, noisy one can get there because he's been eaten by the bird. So the sneaky cricket was the one best adapted for his environment because he was able to get to make his, get his happy on before the loud cricket was able to. Fertile means that they are able to produce offspring. So you can produce babies. Not sterile, meaning they cannot produce babies. And this is either going to be a purebred or a hybrid. So all animals that are considered a species should be fertile unless something has altered that. For instance, the dog in the lower corner, Penny, my dog, she was spayed, so she is no longer fertile. She is sterile because we've removed her parts and bits that would provide the babies. Whereas the Guernsey cow is fertile. It can produce calves. There is some natural variation within a population in either color or size or texture of things. And in a stable environment, there's very little variation. But there's still variation. When changes occur, such as a natural disaster, it affects the organism's ability to survive or live where they're at. So if there is no variation within the population, everything will die. So if that happens, that means that they've gone extinct and all the members of the species will die. With the variation, there's the likelihood that some of the members will survive, and this will allow these species to live on, but with some changes. Think about our discussion today of the rock pocket mice or the bacteria. Those changes happen because of changes in their environments. And if they had not had the variation within their population from the mutations or whatever it is, then they would not have been able to survive. There are some isolating mechanisms that prevent populations from interbreeding and staying as a single species. One, the gene pool is the combined genetic information of all the members of a particular population. This is the amount of genetic choices that the organisms are going to have. There's reproductive isolation, which means that the members of two different populations cannot interbreed. Remember our penguins and our zebras? Well, they have two separate gene pools, and they cannot interbreed because of several things. Either the parts don't fit, the gametes don't match, there are different mating calls, different mating seasons, and there's some other things that can happen there. But reproductively, even if they were able to get it on, they would not be able to interbreed because the babies would not be viable. Isolating mechanisms continued. Behavioral isolation. There are two populations that are capable of interbreeding, but they have differences in mating rituals or other behaviors that prevent them from doing so, such as calls or signals. Frogs are famous for that, where they would breed in this. They would be able to breed, but because they have different mating calls or mating rituals, they do not. There's also geographic isolation. where the two populations are separated by geographic barriers like rivers, mountains, bodies of water, canyons, or things of that nature. This isn't a very good picture, but this is of the A-bear and the kaibab squirrel in the Grand Canyon. At one point, the Grand Canyon was not a canyon. It was just a small river. And these squirrels were able to go back and forth. Over time, as the canyon got bigger, it isolated the populations that were on either side of the canyon. And over time, they grew to be very different from one another. Their fur was different, their ears were different, their rituals were different. So even if we put them together, they may be able to reproduce. But because of the geographic barrier, currently they are not able to. We also have temporal isolation, which means time, temporal time, reproducing at different times. This could be at different times of the day, different times of the month, different times of the season. Frogs, again, here they have different times of the season in which they would mate. So the wood frog, the pickerel frog, the tree frog, and the bullfrog could probably all make babies together, but because they have different times of the day or different times of the year in which they are ready to breed, they're not going to breed together. That's it.